Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we craft stocking ME buses and hatches, replace the EBF array with industrial furnaces, and finish off the rest of the Automation Age quest page. Oh yeah, I am now crafting 16 HIFs, hardened industrial furnaces. I finally got all the HSSG that I need. My god, that took forever. While that happens, I want to quickly show you what I've set up for the Nether Stars. I did kind of leave off at the end of last episode without implementing it, which is kind of a weird decision by me, but whatever. So over here I have the LCRs to make the different powders, mixers to turn them into whatever they get turned into, and then in the back I have extractors to extract the liquid versions of these dusts, and autoclaves to combine the two to make shards, and finally the large forming press to make impure Nether Stars. It is very slow. Very slow. I think the LCR losing perfect OC is actually kind of a big hit because this recipe is taking a lot longer than it would have. I probably just need to upgrade the coils. The coils are shared inside, by the way. I'm using RTM right now. But also the large autoclave step is just really slow. It's 18 seconds for each shard. And it's only a 95% chance of getting the shard, so yeah. This is gonna take a while. These are impure Nether Stars though, not the normal Nether Stars. To make those, I need to implosion compress them with dynamite. Dynamite needs paper, string, and glycerol trinitrate, which I can make with glycerol and nitration mixture. And glycerol needs seed oil, methanol, and sodium hydroxide. So seed oil hurts a little bit, but I think I can find a way to get around that. But I decided not to passive that. I'm just going to on-demand it because it's fine. I'll survive. This does mean I need to make an implosion compressor, which I haven't done yet, but like I said last time, it's really cheap and easy, so I'm gonna get that done too. But I'm so excited for these industrial furnaces. Can't wait to get rid of all this and start using stocking ME. Oh my god, it's gonna be so good. And that's the implosion compressor hooked up. Simple little cube. Okay, actually this seed oil situation is a bigger problem than I thought it would be. But I think the aquatic entangler is the solution here, because I can make fish oil. And these are really cheap and easily spammable. And they're thermal series, so I think they also scale with like upgrade kits and stuff. The only question is, how do I automate it and where do I put it? And I don't know. I have no idea. You know, maybe like a little aquarium here would be cool. I don't know how big it needs to be though. Part of me even wants to put it in the oil building, actually. Because it's fish oil. It's oil. I might do it. I'm gonna make a few and figure out how to set this up, and I'll be right back. Yep, this seems to be it. This is how you set it up. Aquatic Entangler looks at a 5x5x2 area. In fact, I made a crescent hammer because this allows you to see it if you press V. There's a lot of overlap here with all the different aquatic entanglers, but this top one, for example, is just looking at the 5x5x2 area. So this thing just full of water, and I'm going in and upgrading them all to EV with 3 upgrade kits each. And hopefully this is fast enough. I did also add some aqua chow to some of them, but they're already full, so yeah. That said, even the ones that don't have aqua chow, they're not that slow. Well, these ones seem slow, but I think it's because I didn't add the upgrade kits yet. But with the upgrade kits, it's really fast. So I don't think you really need the aqua chow, but it does like double or triple or something the output, so it's worth it if you have it, but I'm not gonna bother making it. So this makes fish, right? So I can pull the fish out from the back and I'm gonna send it all to an extraction machine. Now I would love to do it in a multi-block extractor, the large extraction machine. It needs watertight steel though, which is actually totally doable. I'm also gonna have to make the IV extractor and canner along the way, so I may as well. And I'll be back once I have this, and I'm just gonna store my fish oil in a super tank, and then that's gonna be accessible to the rest of the base. That's the plan. Pretty simple, actually. This doesn't need power or anything. Super simple. The fish routing in the back is a bit ugly. I have conveyor modules and item pipes putting it into a storage drawer, which is subnetted towards this input bus, which just pulls all the fish. But this little mini micro subnet is just its own thing. It only has the 2 components and nothing else. This is basically in place of a pipe with infinite throughput. But okay, fish oil is now solved, which means I can finally make nether stars and I can finally make the stocking input hatches and buses. I'm gonna make a bunch. I'm gonna make like 16 of each, I think, to start, because there's a lot of stuff around the base I want to redo. Probably more, probably 32 of each. I don't know, we'll see. By the way, oh yeah, look at that. We'll come back to this. One thing that I haven't solved, surprisingly, is string. And there's a lot of ways to get string, of course. There's wool milling or maceration. But I'm a big fan of polycaprolactam. Like, I have wool, I can do it, but polycaprolactam is cool. And it's made a bit differently in this pack than I'm used to, which is cool too. It's a blast furnace recipe with caprolactam dust, which is made in an LCR with cyclohexanone oxime, is that a word? Cyclohexanone oxime dust and sulfuric acid. And this dust is made from cyclohexane and nitrosyl chloride. Nitrosyl chloride is chill, just chlorine and nitric oxide. And cyclohexane is also chill, benzene and hydrogen, but it needs a nickel in the reactor, which is, I guess, sure, fine. I hope there's no conflict. There might be a conflict. Whatever, I'll deal with that when it actually happens. Nickel fluoride. But yeah, I'm just gonna pattern it. I'm not gonna do a full line. Short wait later, I have 64 stocking input buses and 32 stocking input hatches. Amazing. Now what this means is I can replace this sort of janky setup with auto pull, which means I don't have to like not pattern, but I don't need to configure these interfaces every single time I add a new recipe, because it's just going to automatically be pulled. Whatever goes in here just gets auto pulled. So that is going to cut down on tedium here a lot, and I am so glad to have these. I'm also going to swap these out for the hardened industrial furnaces because they're better. I'm also going to be upgrading these to do something similar with auto pull, and I'm going to be parallelizing these because I can now with auto pull. One more use case for auto pull or processing. A pretty big use case, to be honest. Probably the use case for auto pull. I'm going to swap out all of these disgusting pipes and this buffer chest with what I planned for in the beginning. That's why I have this chest in the first place. This gets replaced with an ME drive, and then all of these input buses get replaced with stocking input buses. That's why I have it set up like this in the first place. So those are 4 major things that get reworked now that I have these, and I'm so glad to have these. One thing I would like to point out with these EV rotor holders, I can replace them with IV rotor holders, and I can upgrade the rotors inside, not to IV, but to LUV, because I can make twinite? What do I prefer? I think I like twinite. But this is really easy to make. It's lumium, manganese phosphide, and amethyst. Amethyst seems weird at first, but it's really not. It's just amethyst shards, which I get from sifting. Oh, by the way, these are broken. I need to fix these sieves. The ID for treated wood reinforced casing got changed, so they've all been deleted. First thing on the list, swapping these out for the industrial furnaces. I need to find a way to adapt the building design so that it looks nice without me having to do a lot of double work though. Maybe I start with taking one of these down. Well, there's one. I still have to set up the hatches, and I need to actually connect the power. But I need to do this 15 more times. And yes, I love to place block. But I kind of only love to place block once, so I'm gonna make the terminal so I can auto-place the rest of these, because this is too many. Now, I've never used this thing before, so let's see if this works how I think it does. I don't have any hatches on me because I want to place those by hand. I want to place them in specific spots. So this is just all the blocks. Oh, I have energy hatches. Oh, I'm going to put these energy hatches away. Okay, let's try this. Pretty sick. That was pretty quick. That is pretty... Ooh. Does muffler have to go in the center? Oh, it does. It just happened to put it in the center in the other one. Okay, cool. Well, That's very fast. Okay, I will be back once I replace all of these EBFs. Oh yeah, all hooked up. Let me show you these stocking buses and hatches. So every single one of these has an output bus, has a stocking input hatch, which I will set to auto pull, meaning it's going to pull all the nitrogen and hydrogen that it can. However, this stuff is not stored in this hatch like it is with the regular input hatch. This is just the contents of the network being exposed to this hatch. So it's not physically here. If I like turn this off and then turn it on again, it's not like everything got voided. In fact, you can even still see the stuff in the network. So this is just a window into the actual storage. Similar thing on the stocking input bus, where I'm going to turn on auto pull. Here, there's nothing here, and you do want to be careful when you auto pull with the stocking input bus because, for example, if this was a macerator, you just macerate everything in your storage, so be a bit careful. In this case, the only thing that the subnet can see from the mainnet is the blasting fluid. All of the dust that's going to be smelted gets stored in the cell when I make a request, and then it's auto-pulled into this blast furnace, or into this industrial furnace. And because auto-pulling is not physically moving things into the bus, it's just exposing it from the storage. It never actually leaves the storage cell. Every single one of these is going to be able to access the same set of dust, and it's basically infinitely parallelizable. And it's so much easier to expand this because there's no config required. I just basically go to the bus and I turn it on, or I turn the auto pull on. Now all I need to do is turn it on for every single one of these buses, which is fine. And I also I need to hook this up. I have energy hatches, but they're not connected to anything. If I was feeling a bit more spicy, I would swap out the IV energy hatch with a 16x IV energy hatch, or 16 amp IV energy hatch. That would run things at ZPM speed, but I don't think my power gen can keep up with that. I have kind of crazy power gen for this tier, but this would be a lot of power. 16 amps of ZPM. That is 4 times more than what I make right now. So it's a little much. I think running these at IV is going to be totally fine. And because I have 16 of them, that's 1 amp of ZPM. That's a quarter of my power gen. That plus everything else in my base, it's still probably going to be a bit close, actually. Once I'm done setting up all of these stocking input buses and hatches, I'm also going to set them up for the vacuum freezers and basically update that setup to be sort of the same as this one. Oh, I'm done. So I'm going to swap out this whole setup, which was cool as a concept, but it doesn't scale very well. I'm going to swap it out for stockings, and that's going to scale like infinitely. And it's so much cleaner. Look at that. There's no mess. It's just like one nice color. Maybe I should make this red to match the thing. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. Cool. Once I do that to the vac freezers, maybe I also make more ABSs now that I can parallelize them. Or maybe I work on finishing off this page. Whoa, when did that happen? I didn't even realize I was that close to finishing this entire page. I just need advanced SMDs and Twinite, or Twinite? I forgot what I said I was going to call it. I like Twinite now. I changed my mind. Or maybe I didn't. I don't remember. This is the LUV superconductor. I think I mentioned this before. But I need it for the rotors, and of course I also need it for LUV itself, which is coming up very soon. I just want to make sure all my infra is as beefed out as possible first, which also means I probably need to make some more multi-block machines, especially like the assembler and stuff, and maybe make some parallel hatches, etc. There's quite a bit to do before LUV, I think. Though I do have to say I am curious to see how fast this is going to blast 512 stainless steel. So let's find out. I think that was like 30 seconds. Honestly, slower than I expected. Slower than I expected. I might have to add more of these. After a bit of math, I have found that the hardened industrial furnace is strictly better than the ABS for 1-to-1 for the same amount of power and the same coils and the same, recipe. I did this by examining HSSG and I just assumed it applies to every single recipe. It probably does. So here, I make 9 ingots in 293.95 seconds. If I were to smelt it in an EBF, 9 ingots would take almost the same amount of time. The ABS would take 75% of the time that the electric blast furnaces take. But these are not electric blast furnaces anymore. These are hardened industrial furnaces. And these have throughput boosting, which means, the math is here, it's effectively 2.5 times faster. Because you do 4 recipes at 1.6 times the duration. So 4 divided by 1.6 is 2.5. So you do 2.5 times the speed that an EBF does, and the ABS does 1.33 times the speed that an EBF does. So these are strictly better, but ABS has unique recipes and ABS has tier skipping. The industrial furnaces don't have tier skipping. They can only accept 1 hatch. So I am going to make some ABSs, but I'm actually not going to make that many. I might just make 4 to start, including this one. And most of my smelting will still be done here. This whole analysis assumes that it takes 0 time to mix the dusts. We can make that happen. If I make like 32 more mixers, it's basically 0 time. I also set up the vac freezers, by the way. And you know how you need an ingot casting mold to convert the molten metals or molten alloys from the ABS into ingots? You can get away with just 1. I have 1 single casting mold in storage on the subnet, and it's auto-pulled into every stocking bus. So, it should work. You don't need to make 16 or 32 or whatever. You can literally just make 1, which is pretty nice. I am actually going to repattern every single blasting recipe because I'm going to start using the program circuit card on the interface. I have bigger interfaces now, so I can fit way more patterns. And these should be compatible with the PCC. This should be fine. And I don't really want to passively supply fluids to the machines because I want to know if I've run out of fluid, right, when I request a craft. So I'd rather have it be patterned, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to repattern every single one of these, and this EBF is actually going to be kind of useless. I'll keep it in case I need to do some weird tier skipping thing, but I don't think it's ever going to see use anymore, to be honest. Orproc is now fully AE2ified, so that's pretty nice. And I've made some fun stuff. I've made some Twinite, I've made some HSSE, and some HSSS, which means I can make Twinite wire and rotors and advanced SMDs. This all looks very doable to me right now, so I think I'm going to start using these, actually. And while I'm at it, I can probably upgrade some of my recipes. I noticed that I'm still using regular silicon wafers for some engraves instead of using the phosphorus doped ones, so I need to update those as well. There's a couple recipe improvements I need to do, but I think I'll do that in preparation for the next episode. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will continue on beefing up infrastructure by making all of the new multi-blocks that have been unlocked. We will also look into what remains for IV. I think LUV is not too far now. See you next time.